So let's find our template that I have given you. It is called Nathan 2, and you can change that name just by, and it's this little purpley thing right here. You can see that expanded. It is actually 4 blocks of a star. But it looks like grapes to me anyway. So you can, if you want to change the name, you can at this point or any point moving forward. So here it is on my hard drive, and I'm hoping that you copied this to your hard drive. Everything that I'm about to show you that I have done as a template is already there. Double click it. You have already loaded Final Cut Pro onto your machine, and this is what it's going to look like. The little template that I've made. Let's see if I can scrunch that up a little bit. Well, maybe not that much. Well, a little bit. Maybe a little bit down here, so we can fit in there. There we go. This one, you want to have your interface a little bit bigger than this, but I'm just trying to show you what we did. So here it is. By double clicking, it didn't open up that default library that Final Cut Pro as well as iMovie has to have, and it will make it on your hard drive. And remember, I told you watch out for that, because if you're not careful, everything will start working on your computer hard drive instead of the external. We don't want that. So here we have it. I've made the title. I click, and here's our timeline. Looks very, very similar to iMovie, right? So I'm going to click right here and just press the space bar, just like you normally would, and it's moving forward. So this movie is it matches what you exported in terms of the frame size and all of that. So in other words, your project that I've set up here, and this is what it looks like. I've already made the project, and it's right here, and that's what it looks like, this little kind of clapper, and so everything is already set. Now what you're going to do is, I'm going to go off screen here, back here, there we go. So here's our hard drive. This is where I have all the stuff here. I'm going to move this off screen for just a second, but these are the things I'm going to be using for this. I'm just move it off screen, or well, maybe I can show you here. So what I want to do is let's just say this is your project that we exported from iMovie, and remember, it's just as simple as dragging it right in there. So that's what I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to drag it right in here, and it will copy. So it's actually the same thing. So it recognizes that this clip is actually the same one. It's the same one, your project, Final Cut Pro, your project, and it recognizes that. It won't put a duplicate in there. So that's how you would do it, though. Let me find another one here. So I have this other one up here, and let's just say this is it, and I'm going to drag it right down here. There we have that familiar face. And so what you could do if you wanted to is just, this is something we haven't done. Drag your movie, because remember, this is the template that's coming in. Just drag it right over the top. You see how it turns white? Just say replace. Just say replace. And now it replaced, and in this case, this movie is like 19 seconds. I just made them short so we could kind of maneuver quickly. So, okay, so let's start with the title here, because that's going to be important. And it's obviously your footage is different, but you have just put your movie on this timeline, and it's also in here. So that'll be yours. You can just let that, just ignore that one. And this is going to say whatever your timeline was in iMovie, whatever that said. That's what yours is going to say. Here's our title. Okay. By default, the guides here that you're going to need are very, very handy, actually. They don't come in. So let's enable that by going under View and Show Title Action Safe Zones. And now we have our nice little red, yellow grids. And of course we can move this around, which is very, very nice. And that's how you will kind of, I guess, set your titles as far as getting them so that they are in a grid or that they match. It's just a guide, so you try not to go outside this outer line. Inside the inner line is good, but and look down here, you have this inner bottom line is really good. So now watch what happens when I drag this to across the middle. You'll see the dynamic guide is telling you it is perfectly centered, and it already is centered. So here, this little, looks like text lines, that's what it is. That is reflecting this, where we have the traditional kind of word processing commands. We can change the size if I just do the slider. That looks pretty nice. Everything, you notice there's a little outline. That's already going to be there every time you copy and paste, and that's the idea. Copy and paste this title all the way down, and it'll be there. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It'll already be in the font that I made it in. If you don't have this font, which I strongly suspect you do have it, but it will probably default to something. And if that's the case, I can email you the font and show you how to put it in your computer font, your computer font library, if you don't know how. So there we have that. So these lines here, this one's on 106. Now, of course, that's for this this medium or video. So because 106 on a word processor would be pretty big. Okay, so let's look and see how we copy and paste.